It's in this Torah portion that we find out that the bride of Messiah very likely will be found on the wrong side of the wrong town. This is Barry Phelps, a 10-minute Torah, day 3, okay, Sarah, the life of Sarah. Let's go to Bereshit. Genesis chapter 24, verse 1 and following says, And Abraham was old, advanced in years. And Yahweh had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Yahweh, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but go to my land and to my relatives and take a wife for my son Yitzhak. And the servant said to him, What if the woman refuses to follow me back to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? And Abraham said to him, Beware lest you take my son back there. Yitzhak's an interesting character, and we're going to find out more about him as we proceed here in the next Torah portion. He is a type of Messiah for us. He is one whose father has offered him up. He is one who came off of the altar, in manner of speaking, after which he is for a period of time absent from the time that Yitzhak was taken up to Mount Moriah to now. We don't know where he's at. We don't see him. He's not told as to where his location is. During that time, there is the effort then to find the bride. So as Yeshua has been gone, the Ruach has been raising up and looking for the bride of Messiah. What's also interesting is that when the bride shows up in the land, so does Messiah. Their arrival, it is coordinated. So there is this interesting foreshadowing that we see in the life of Yitzhak. So Abraham is requiring the service of his eldest servant. We assume here that it's Eleazar. He's not named, but we assume as much, as he has been in the past his chief servant. And it is based upon an oath, based on covenant, that the bride is found. The euphemism of put your hand under my thigh, it is to, in effect, make a covenant level promise based on Abraham's circumcision. We'll leave it there. And so there is this covenant seeking. The bride of Messiah is not necessarily the one that is passionate, not necessarily the one that knows what should be in the ketubah, the marriage contract, not necessarily the most beautiful, not necessarily the most popular. A lot of those that may say, I'm a part of the bride of Messiah, the body of Messiah, may not qualify. Yeshua even said in Matthew 7, many will say to me in that day, you know the scripture, Master, Master. And he said, you don't qualify. I don't know who you are. Your works, your words, your presentation, they do not qualify you. And so one can shed tears and can be passionate in worship and quote Bible verses and attend meetings and do a lot of different things, but that's not the qualification. The one who is qualified should be doing those things, but they in and of themselves do not qualify us. So the wife of the heir, the wife here of the Messiah, is based on the covenant and its sign, circumcision. The bride who shuns a circumcised heart and mind does not qualify for the Messiah. Yitzhak is indeed physically and in his heart circumcised. The flesh has been cut away. So the bride that qualifies for Messiah is a bride who does not live by the feelings and passions of the flesh, even though they're encapsulated in spiritual circumstances and arenas. She is one, we are one, whose fleshly desires have been cut away, whose inclinations have been redeemed and set apart. And so the understanding here is that Abraham says the women around here, they're pagans. They openly, fervently, unabashedly are worshiping idols and demons. Do not allow my son to marry one of them. Why? Because the heir is coming through Yitzhak, and the resulting child from Yitzhak must be one who will also likewise be of a circumcised heart. A Canaanite mother is not going to train her child to live that way. So the daughter of the systems of this world will not qualify. Well, wait a minute, Barry. Rivka lives in Ur. She is Babylonian. She's from Babylon. And Babylon is this world religion, at least as one way of interpreting, that the kings of the earth commit illicit relationships with. I'm trying to be careful here. And how does she qualify? Because Rivka, once she is approached, very willingly says, I will leave Babylon to go and to be the bride of the heir. Revelation 18:4 says, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins. Yah is still calling his people out of Babylonian religiously acceptable, world-recognized religious systems. We can no longer say, well, I belong to this group or this denomination or this non-denomination, or identify the church or congregation or assembly that we are a part of and feel as though that we're qualified. There was a time where denominations preached powerfully the word, and one could quite readily assume that if you're part of that group, then I know how you live. We really can't do that anymore. Churches and congregations, assemblies, they have morphed, they have changed. And I know from experience and from personal training over the years when I was a denominational pastor, you have to run your church or your assembly very much like a business. You need a logo, you need a vision statement, you need a mission statement, you need your classes of go-getters and supporters and adopters and so on, however you name such groups. It's about PR. It's about getting people to come and sit in the pew to finance the great vision and mission that the pastor has proclaimed. The pastor is more at times a CEO than a man of Elohim who will stand and proclaim, thus says Yahweh. And this is not just open criticism. This is just an understanding that the bride is found in these systems. But when the Ruach HaKodesh comes to find her, she must be willing to have her heart circumcised of all of this stuff and be willing to walk out of it to come for the sole purpose of becoming the bride of the heir who receives the fullness of the covenant and takes possession of the land. We have to be willing to be such a bride. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.